Meet Sawako Kurenuma. She's a wandering spirit fitted to walk the halls of her school for all eternity. Or at least that's what her classmates think. Her long hair, pale complexion, and overly quiet voice have led many to mistake her for the girl from The Ring and nickname her Sadako. As a result, she's gone most of her life without any real friends. This is a big part of why she's so surprised when Kazahaya, one of the most popular students in the school, is able to talk to her just like anyone else. Her confrontations with him let her finally have someone to speak her mind to after years of being alone, and it's through him that she's finally able to understand what friendship is really about. Okay, there's one thing I need to address before anything else. It's the question that a lot of people have when they first look at this series. Are the protagonists Mary Sue's? At first glance, the characters may appear to be flawless people, but the truth is they're not. The whole story is based around Sawako's inability to look, sound, or act in any normal capacity. Kazahaya may be popular, but while he can talk to people, his ability to read others is as bad as Sawako's. And you may be wondering why someone like him doesn't get teased a lot, except for the fact that he totally does. What makes the main couple work, though, is how they manage to be good, realistic people despite the problems they have. It isn't like Kazahaya has some big, overpowering need to be kind to everyone, like some other people I could name. The big reason he's so kind to Sawako is because nobody gave him a good enough reason not to. And part of Sawako's entire character is how she always had the tools she needed to make friends, but it took some assistance for her to figure out how to use them properly. That's part of what makes the series special, I think. It recognizes that you don't need to change people in order to make them likable. You just need to bring out those great qualities that already exist, but are hidden behind a wall of shyness and hair. If you've looked at the Japanese sales records for manga, you probably already noticed this series and how it outsold Fairy Tail. The big reason why it was able to do this is because it managed to get away from most of the common shoujo pitfalls. It isn't filled to the top with pointless misunderstandings, it never reaches for its dramatic moments, the heroine isn't just a stand-in for the audience, and the hero is neither overly perfect nor a possessive douche. This is not to imply that it always avoids these things, however. There are still the occasional misunderstandings, and while most of them are resolved shortly after they arise, some so quickly that it approaches parody, we sometimes do have to deal with characters simply refusing to say the right thing. When so many of the other scenes can get by without resorting to them, the misunderstandings that do occur feel all the more frustrating. Still, these aren't very common. I can only think of 2 off the top of my head, and when the story does get around to resolving them, it makes for good enough moments that you can easily forget what the problems were. Now you understand why so many shoujo fans have come to like this series. But I've only scratched the surface, because now it's time I explain why the rest of you might like it. Where Kimi Todoke truly shines more than anywhere else is in the cast. It would be difficult to pull off a manga like this without a well-developed central cast, and Karu Oshina provides with one of the most likable set of characters I've seen in a long time. I could probably describe each of them with just a word or two, but that doesn't do justice to the kind of people they really are. Each one of them has their own lives, desires, and ways of thinking that are all their own. They each have a romantic subplot to some degree, but they manage to be unique enough to not seem repetitive. It sometimes feels like they all came from different manga, possibly in different genres. And what's really impressive is how they each get their time in the spotlight without really feeling like scenery in someone else's story. This has a lot to do with the smaller cast size, which lets most of them play a role in the other plots. Maybe it's just them voicing their opinions from time to time, but it's a shoujo, so that's more important than it sounds. The whole thing comes together to create a remarkable atmosphere unlike anything that came before. The closest thing I can compare it to is not shoujo, but slice of life, since it really does feel like we're being taken into the lives of the main characters. The mood feels incredibly wholesome, mainly because Kimi Todoke enjoys playing up the sparkles and overall cuteness you see in other shoujo. So don't be surprised if you feel the urge to tackle Glomp, the main heroine. Okay, now here's the part where I have to stop gushing and get serious for a minute. There is one major complaint I have about this series, and it's the one everyone seems to have. It's too slow. Maybe it's a side effect of the multiple running plots, or maybe the mangaka just wants to maintain the cutesy atmosphere for as long as she can, but it takes a lot of time and effort for anything to really move forward, and it can get very frustrating very quickly. Especially when Chino decides she likes teasing the readers too much. I didn't notice it as much on my initial read-through, but that was when it was the only shoujo I was reading, and between finding others and having to wait a month between chapters, I hope I can be forgiven for screaming, "Kiss you idiots!" at the screen every so often. In the end, though, the pacing serves as a reminder of how much you want to see more of Kimi Todoke. It really is a one-of-a-kind experience, and I'm not sure how long it'll be before I find another shoujo this good. It takes a lot of classic shoujo elements and polishes them until they shine, while also getting rid of the other stereotypes that kept people from reading them in the first place. The cast is also easy to enjoy, and help make the story work as well as it does. Aside from that, the overall mood of the series should be easy to adapt to for anyone who likes slice-of-life manga, and it can also help for anyone out there looking for something to cheer them up after a bad day. Of course, the mood can be a little too sweet for some readers to stomach, and I also wouldn't start if you're the type of person to lose their patience easily. Kimi Todoke is being released in North America by Viz Media, with the 11th volume being released on the 1st of November. Karu Hoshina, the creator of Kimi Todoke, previously worked on a number of one-shot stories, as well as a 6-volume series called Crazy for You. I haven't read it, but I understand that it isn't as warm as this series was. The anime was released in 2009, with the second season being made earlier this year. In total, they cover the first 43 chapters of the manga. It's hard to summarize a series like Kimi Todoke without making it sound immature somehow. You can't really understand why so many people read it with just a one-sentence description. So, if nothing else, I hope I made everything a whole lot clearer for everyone.
弾け飛ぶほど笑い合えた日も大切に育てて